Hi everybody and welcome. My name is Drace and welcome to Mind Magic. Hi everybody and welcome back. So my name is Drace and today we're going to be talking about the difference between a magician and an illusionist. Now, there is a massive difference between the two, and they are going to be explained very shortly. So what you just saw then was a magic trick. Now, it was no illusion. It was simply just sleight of hand, and it was a magic trick. The same as I take a coin and I put it in my hand over here and blow on it, and the coin disappears. But what you may not have realized is the coin never did leave this hand at all. It stayed in this hand at all. This for creating an illusion that the coin is actually going into this hand when in fact it remains in this hand. And that's what we call, well, you can actually use that as an illusion, but when we do this, again, that's magic. So again, just demonstrating some very simple techniques and very simple, I guess, props that give you an idea of the difference between a magic and illusion. Here's another one. I have a deck of cards, and if anyone doesn't know, there's 52 individual playing cards in a deck. We take a case, we put the case upside down, we push the deck of cards in there, and just like that, the cards and the deck are completely gone. This is what we call an illusion. So, does that constitute me as being a magician or an illusionist? In fact, here's the thing. We are all magicians, okay? If you're doing any form of magic, you are indeed a magician. What then puts you in the category of being an illusionist is that you are using something as an apparatus that is creating an optical illusion that what you're actually looking at isn't actually what you're seeing. All right, so the mind and the eyes and the ears and all your senses are then being tricked into believing something that necessarily isn't so. Okay, that's probably one of many ways of describing it. Now, out there are, so basically, who then has the rights or who then can title themselves as being a magician, an illusionist, an escapologist, a mentalist, you know, a person that does cardistry and so on. So again, anyone really can. There's nothing in the entertainment industry and in the magic industry that actually defines and actually says this particular person over here must be named as such and such, this person over here must be named as such and such. In Australia here, it is an unregulated industry. So we don't have associations that really do anything, if at all. And we really have people out there that mark up or mark down their own prices because it's not regulated. And there's some good and bad to that as well. As always, like any industry, you get your cowboys and you get your cowgirls in it that will undercut other people, that will oversell their worth based on ego rather than their actual value of entertainment, and it goes on from there. So as a client, as a customer, it can be very teething to try and work out, well, who do I hire? Do I hire him or her because she charges more? Does that mean they're better? Do this person over here charges less? Does that mean they're crap? And there's a lot of things involved in that. And we'll talk about that in another podcast about how to choose the right entertainer to suit you. So if you are a client or you're a person who wants to invest in actually hiring someone along those lines, well, then that would be the podcast for you. And it also probably be of value to anyone in the entertainment industry or magician to probably jump in and have a listen as well, because it might refine, it might make you rethink how you're pricing yourself, how you're advertising yourself as well. Now, I know that there are magicians that go around and again call themselves master illusionists or grandmaster illusionists, and there's people out there that even go as far as saying they're Australia's #1 illusionist or magician or whatever they want to call themselves. Now, there's nothing stopping them from saying that, but the proof is in the pudding, because when you hire their services, you may not end up rehiring their services. You may be very disappointed in what you're actually paying for, overpriced, undervalued, and that happens quite a lot. There's a lot of, unfortunately, social media today, there's a lot of stuff going on where people can use, trick photography, they can use apps and so on and so forth to create illusions that, changing a card from blue to red and all the rest of it without actually putting any effort into it, just using special effects. And that's not magic, that's just crap. So, and I don't support that at all. That's non-supporting at all. So, look, I've been doing magic, so a little bit of a background. So I call myself a sensory illusionist, okay? So again, I've titled myself as one of two people in the world, and there is another sensory illusionist out there, and she's a female over in America. And so again, what does a sensory illusionist provide or do that's different to an illusionist? Now, as you saw, I just did an illusion or a couple of illusions there with small stuff, and that stuff can be done, and usually is often done, in close-up scenes in mingle magic and roving magic, as they call it. And so an illusion is not always a grand scale illusion up on stage, okay? That's what they call grand scale illusions, and they're big illusions, big props, and they're bigger wow factors. Now, David Copperfield is obviously a leading Grandmaster illusionist, and he himself obviously does that. But illusions aren't just limited just to the stage and don't have to be big. As you saw, they can be small and they can be quite personable. So again, I just wanted to show you that. So going back to sensory illusionist is actually that. So myself, for those who don't know, is that I've been doing magic far back as 6 years of age, as far as I can remember, and I didn't have the fortunate pleasures of internet, mobile phones, social media. I didn't even have a mentor. The only thing that I had was I went to a bookstore one time and I grabbed this book. I've still got it to this day. This book set me on my path to becoming a magician that I am today. And I was self-taught. And now, if you open up the book, it's got really dodgy pictures in there. There's no third dimensional type pictures. They're just one-dimensional pictures, and the rest of it's writing. And I had to interpret that as a kid and try and work it out and work out the formula on how that effect is done. So it took 4 times the amount of time that it would today by watching a YouTube channel or buying an apparatus and actually watching a YouTube tutorial. So it's so much easier now, and you can move along a lot quicker with the effects. And a lot of the effects today are self-working. It doesn't take much skill sets because we just don't have the time to implant and sit there for 8 hours on the edge of the bed practicing. And good luck to those people who do. They obviously don't work, because how can you be doing that and work at the same time, raise kids and all the rest of it? So there's no right or wrong, but that is obviously a point of difference. But being a sensory illusionist, I explore the science behind it. And why I do that is because I'm also a hypnotist as well. So being a hypnotist is not just getting up there and performing a trick. It actually works on science. And the science works on how you deliver things and what you do to an audience. So I've researched over 5 decades. I've been doing magic for over 5 decades, so a really long time. And I've researched and I study and I still do the science behind magic. And that's what gives me the leverage and the edge of being a sensory illusionist, because I play with people's senses, their 5 senses. I even sometimes play with their intuitive senses, their 6th sense as well. So, which makes it fun, because I actually put the apparatuses, and a lot of the magic goes back into their own hands. I don't stand there and actually do it all. I allow them to do it, and allow them to actually have that experience, which then heightens their senses, hence being a sensory illusionist. So that's why I've labeled myself that, and that's why I call myself that, as the other girl in America does as well, because that's exactly what we do. We emphasize the science behind it. Now, to step it out a little bit, you would almost, in fact, you probably could call Darren Brown a sensory illusionist, because that's exactly what he does. And what's funny about Darren Brown is that he actually doesn't go around and advertise the fact that he's a magician. He will allow people to know that he's a mentalist, a hypnotist, but he doesn't actually go around. But he is a magician. He does do magic tricks, okay, if you want to call them that. I hate the word tricks because it really cheapens the value of the effect. I like to call them a routine or an effect, but people still refer to things as, can you show me a trick? Well, okay. So that is one of the things that I found fascinating, because the science behind that is that he then has an audience that is more involved in the effect that he does, because they don't even think about it for a moment that it's a magic trick. They just purely believe it on the principle that he actually can read minds, because he hasn't labeled himself as a magician, not an illusionist or anything like that. He's just labeled himself as a mentalist and as a hypnotist. Something, food for thought anyway. So that's what I wanted to do today. I just wanted to have a little chat, introduce myself, and just give you a little bit of more of a detailed insight into a magician, an illusionist. And look, you know, in the magic industry, there's so many quirky people that just want to fight all the time, and I'm sure that they'd argue with what I'm saying, and I don't really care. This is more for those out there that want to listen, that want to explore those things and want to advance their skills. So this is a podcast for all those people, including my clients out there, all potential clients, or maybe even you want to learn magic. If you want to learn magic, I teach magic. I've taught many people magic, and I've even taught people for weddings to do magic at their wedding ceremonies as well. So if you would like to learn magic, or if you want to know more about what I do, or maybe even hire my services, just go up here and go to my website. That is draceillusionist.com. Don't forget, make sure that you subscribe. Make sure you subscribe, or else you're going to miss out on the future podcast, guys, because I've got so many amazing things coming up, and we're going to talk about so many different avenues of the entertainment industry, not just magic as well. But I also encourage you to reach out, whether you want to reach out to an email, or whether you want to reach out to my website, or maybe just here and make a comment and let me know, is there something in particular that you want to discuss, or do you want me to open up about and elaborate on that we can help you with? Because this podcast is about that. It's about getting out there and helping those new magicians become fantastic magicians, about those people that are currently doing magic out there in the industry, and there may be just that one or two thing that they've overlooked, or maybe they've become passive about, that they will now relook at and go, you know what, that's actually a good idea, or maybe that's food for thought. And as a client, or as a customer, a potential client or customer, maybe you don't know what's going on out there. Well, this is going to clear that up for you as well. So everyone, have a magical day. Again, thanks for dropping in. Thanks for listening to my podcast. I'm Drace. Catch you next time.
Singing low while I pop a bottle off of your chain swinging, clang clang, and it costs a lot. Bitch, I'm always at the guala, yeah, and you are not badass beat. Keep on going till you hit the spot.